Alrighty, guys, good morning to all of you. Yes, we go live even at 4:55 in the morning. I am Ryan here. This is Indiana Weather Online as well as Indiana Storm Chasing Network. We do have a severe thunderstorm in the state. Before I get started, though, I do want to test our audio just to make sure we are all squared away and good to go. If you're in chat here, if you can hear me, let me know. I'm going to pull myself up here. We do have I am good. Perfect. All right. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect here for the very far southern part of Indiana. All the way down here toward the Tell City area, Lewisport, Rockport areas, Spencer County, Perry County. This is going to be a severe warning in effect for the next couple of minutes. Hazards with these warnings, or with this warning in particular, is going to be just 60 mile per hour winds. That's the only hazard. Very, very small portion of the state here, of these counties even. So zooming in even further here, some smaller towns: Harding Grove, Derby, Tell City, Cannleton. Across the border here, Sunny Corner, Skillman, Cloverport, Dukes. Then back here as well, we have New Boston, Evanston, Schlee, Maxville, and Newtonville. What's up, Stormlord? Good to see you in chat here. We're not going to be live for too long here. These storms are just barely grazing the southern part of the state. Not going to be a long stream today. We have a long day ahead. We have a enhanced and also a moderate risk for severe weather in place for the next couple of for the afternoon evening time frame, at least through the south and central part of the state. So we're gonna have updates on the pages regarding that threat, but we'll likely be live here for at least 20 minutes or so, just to kind of get you guys up to speed here. These are more just a wind and hail producing type of event. We're not really seeing anything this morning that really stands out to us as a significant severe threat. Most of these storms appear to be sub-severe in nature, which is good for the most part. But for the time being, we do have a couple areas and pockets of heavier winds within these particular areas. This one actually just got special weather statemented over here just south of Corydon there in Harrison County. This is going to be a statement, not severe, but this is going to be for gusts up to 50 as well as half-inch hail, so just below severe limits. But if we zoom in there, that pocket of heavier winds is really small and localized just south of the Indiana border into Kentucky. So again, these warnings, this warning's in effect here for southern Perry County. Looks like they just trimmed back some of Spencer as well. Overall, the hazard is 60 mile per hour winds and nickel-size hail. Nickel-size hail is not severe, so technically not a hazard, but still could get some small to medium-sized hail in these cells. Jason, the cap for the threat last night really kind of held strong across the state. Only had very isolated coverage. That was expected. Further north, we had less coverage than we kind of expected, but for the most part, central South Indiana didn't really do much. This tonight, overnight, really into this morning, these storms were not really expected by us until really late last night. We kind of realized that, hey, we could have some storms, popping up here. So we'll be live here for a few minutes as these storms trek along the Kentucky border. But given the long day ahead, because we do have that moderate and also enhanced risk in place for later today, afternoon, evening time frames, we'll likely keep our coverage tonight short and sweet. For those of you who don't know, I also am part of a Michigan page. We were actually streaming for 8 hours straight earlier tonight for severe and tornadoes in the state of Michigan. So I am actually sleepless so far. So until Caleb gets up and he takes over operations, we'll stay on here and for cover for right now. Right now, it's very, very limited in Indiana. This is, again, southern Perry County. Damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour are possible with this particular cell. That's all I'm really seeing here. Flipping on the reflect or the wind velocity here, we're going to notice a couple things. Let's go to Evansville. You're going to notice a little bit of a pocket here. Again, out of the state of Indiana, we're not really seeing much of anything here in the state, but just south, we do have a little pocket there of heavier winds that are showing up. I'm sorry, I'm laying in the dark here. Let me turn this on. There you go. I'm in the dark. I apologize. A little bit of pocket there of heavier winds moving toward the Cloverport area. Just basically going to ride the Kentucky border up here toward the Corydon, Brandenburg area. Excuse me. What is the next timing of the storm today, Muncie area? We're worried more so later afternoon, early evening hours. We'll have all the information coming later, but looking at the models, looking at all the data, I would suggest probably after the 3 or 4 p.m. time frame across the state, we'll get ramped up here. And also, the threat is highest further south there. Probably south of Muncie would have the higher risk. Not to say there's not a threat there in Muncie, but for this afternoon and evening, definitely ramps up later on, probably after school hours. And currently in the state, just so everyone's aware, it's pretty much dry for 99.9% of us. There's nothing really on radar up here. These are all birds and kind of ground clutter on radar showing up. The only storms in the state currently as of 5 a.m. here Eastern are what's happening down here in that southern part of the state. Otherwise, we're dry. Again, round 2, we can call it round 2 if you guys want to, but the main concern for severe weather really starts to ramp up later in the afternoon and evening today. You too, Jason. Thanks for hopping on here. No problem, Mindy. New severe warning coming in now for what appears to be Harrison County. Oh, they're going to go 60 mile per hour winds with this cell. Also, I want to take a notice here. A little bit interesting. This particular cell may be trying to turn into a little bit of a supercell, which is a rotating storm. It's a kind of deformed look, but still you can kind of see like a hook on the back end here and a very classic little bulge on the outer edge or the leading edge of that supercell. It looks like it could be trying to, form into a mini weak supercell, and that would make sense here. We have some increased velocity here in the back end of that. That would make a little bit more sense now. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. Now, there is actually a severe thunderstorm watch, if I'm not mistaken, for the southern tier of counties in Indiana. I'll go ahead and flip that on here for you guys. Yeah, there you go. So currently the pink box areas, that's your watch. And within this watch, there's actually the wording suggests that a couple tornadoes, and it's right there, although a tornado or two will also be possible across that watch area. But that watch area extends all the way back here to Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas as well. So it's a pretty large watch area. But they do mention the possibility of a couple tornadoes within this watch. So let's keep an eye on these storms. If anything tornadic does form, it'll be with a supercell, which is why I'm kind of keeping a close eye on this one, just because it kind of has that look to it, so to speak. But pump the brakes. It doesn't look to be rotating much at all, very little. So that's good news. But I will keep an eye on this. There again, it's still south of the border, but it would be heading up there to the southern Harrison area. Courtney says it might be dry, but the humidity has been ramped up this week. Dry ground, wet air. Yes, the humidity has been very, very muggy. In fact, I think one of our staff members actually compared it to the Amazon rainforest. It's been, obviously it's a joke, because Amazon rainforest is quite humid in nature, and we don't have much of anything on that. But it's been oppressive out there for sure. For sure. And today will be a similar day to that too. But the good news is the weekend is looking a little bit better. So let's get through today, Friday, and then we'll have a more pleasant weekend on tap. So 2 warnings in the state right now, one for southern Harrison, one for southern Perry. We'll go ahead and throw southern Spencer in there, although Spencer County, you guys are pretty much cleared out. This storm is, I mean, these storms don't even look that strong, to be honest with you. Like, they don't have that severe storm look to them at all. So this is basically just scraping by the southern part of the state. Again, we're not going to be live here all night or all morning, should I say, whatever you guys prefer me to use. It's night/morning for a lot of us. The risk we're kind of more so focused in on later today. These don't even look that concerning, if I'm being honest. In fact, let me go and take a deeper dive into my advanced radar software. I actually have 2 radars pulled up here. Here's my other one. We'll take a deeper look into this real quick just to kind of get a better idea. Maybe I'm missing something that NWS is seeing. Just want to cover the basis here before I start spewing my opinions and what I see. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense here. So the heights of these storms, they matter. So this particular cell here actually has a pretty good core. I'm going up in tilt on the radar. So I have several tilts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 15 different tilts I have. And this particular tilt brings me up to about 17,000 feet in the atmosphere. When you still see these dark reds and purples at about 20,000 feet or so, that is when you start getting toward that severe criteria. Obviously, there's a little bit more that goes into it, but this cell here that's warned near the Meade County, Kentucky area, about to move into Harrison County, that one does have a decent core on it. I can understand why that one has a warning. This one back here, let's take a little bit, let's see, excuse me, let's take a look at that one. And the same thing applies to that one too. So decent cores on these storms, even though they don't really look the part on radar. Up in the atmosphere, they're really tall. In fact, if I do this, or about 40,000 feet. So that would be why. Air you can wear. Yes, Julie. Air you can wear. How's Vincent's looking? Vincent's is fine for now, but later you are in the heart of the severe risk. So do pay attention later this afternoon and especially this evening. And then, yes, we'll be live here for severe coverage as well later today. We have a moderate risk, level 4 out of 5 for southern Indiana. Enhanced risk up to about the Indianapolis area. And then further north, we have a slight risk that extends up to the Michigan and Ohio borders. Also want to take note that we do have additional severe storms back here to our south and our west. I'm going to flip this back over here to my other radar. It's easier to change radars and kind of control. Let's go back here to Evansville. This warning down here by Providence, Kentucky, very potent looking cell down here for the Kentucky area. Clay, Providence, Dixon, Sabry, probably butchered that, apologize. Very nasty looking hail core on this cell. Luckily not in Indiana as of right now, but if I animate that, again, these storms are scraping by close to the border here, so it's not going to be a risk that's going to be pushing into the state. But if you live in these southern tier counties here from about Louisville to Evansville, you have a shot at getting grazed by one of these storms. And that is also, I'm going to reiterate again, we're not going to be live, for too long. We're going to focus our attention more so later today. These storms should remain pretty much hail and wind producers. We're not really expecting anything tornadic with these storms. So whatever does happen, if anything does happen in the very extreme southern part of the state, should be minor in nature. So I'll likely cut the coverage short here this morning because, like I said, I have also been up 8 hours streaming for Michigan earlier, and we have a long day ahead of us later today, so I want to have plenty of rest to go about our business here. So with that said, back to the comments here. You stay safe too as well, Chrissy. Appreciate you tuning in. Humidity and bronchitis don't mix. I hope you don't have Jeannie. Do you have bronchitis? I'm sorry to hear that if you do. Being sick is never fun. Excuse me. Yeah, once these cells clear, once the warnings are dropped, or trimmed, should I say, will likely pop out of here. Again, looking at the back here at these cells, I'm going to reiterate again that these may brush the very southern tier of counties here across Indiana. Right now, none of these look overly, well, I mean, I can't say none. This one down here in Kentucky looks concerning for hail. I'll be honest. This one as well, they have a concern with it too. But as of right now, that's still about 20 to 30 miles south of the border. Not our concern, but it may become our concern, more so closer, probably to Harrison County, maybe scraping by Spencer County again. But for right now, that does look to be tracking more so south of the border. So once these warnings get dropped, we'll likely hop out of here, and we'll likely not be live again until later this afternoon, evening, for our more substantial risk that comes later today. And to talk about that briefly here, just because there's really not much happening in the state currently. These storms are south of the state line. There's just not much happening out there. So switching this over to the SPC outlook, there we go. There is your day one outlook. So marking this off on your screen currently, this is a slight risk up here. This is level 2. Up here in Michigan, level 1 risk. I almost drew a 2 again. Level 1 risk up here, also back here in Illinois. Further south here across the Indianapolis I-70 corridor, that's an enhanced risk, level 3. And then down here in the very far southern part of the state is a level 4 moderate risk. We don't get those too often here. We're good for about maybe 1 or 2 a year. We've already had a couple this year, added this to the list. So that is a concerning risk tonight. Zooming this way in, pretty much south of Terre Haute, includes Sullivan, Jasonville, Bloomington, Columbus, Seymour, Vincennes, Evansville, Salem, Jasper. Any place between here in this red zone is the highest risk tonight, or this afternoon and evening, really, not tonight, but this afternoon and evening, later today, for severe weather. Then the enhanced risk up here, Indianapolis, Terre Haute, Muncie, Newcastle, Richmond, Fishers, anywhere between these areas. Then further north there, everywhere else, Fort Wayne, Logansport, Lafayette, Logansport, Napanee, Kendallville, up toward Angola. Very extreme northern part of the state in a marginal there. It includes places like Jamestown, Howe, Michigan City. That's basically entire state severe risk, but further south you go, the higher that threat becomes. Hazards today as well. Tornadoes. Here's your outlook for tornadoes. 2% risk up here by the Michigan border. That's your lowest risk. 5% there from Logansport to Indianapolis. A 10% risk across the Bloomington region there in yellow. And then a 15% risk down closer to the Ohio River. So, with that said, any tornadoes that occur within or close to the yellow or red zones have a chance at becoming strong to severe. Or sorry, any tornadoes that do occur have potential to become on the stronger side of things. Bear with me here. I'm tired, so I apologize if I'm screwing up some words here. Looking at the wind and hail, there's your wind outlook. 15% risk up here in yellow, Fort Wayne, Logansport area. 30% risk there in the Indianapolis, Muncie region there. And then down here is a 45% risk across the Bloomington, Vincennes, Evansville area. So again, highest threat further south there for the wind. And last but not least, the hail risk for today, later today to be exact, is roughly across the entire state, 15%. We do have that black box here that's hatched that indicates hail could be larger than golf ball size. Then down here toward the Evansville, Bloomington area, that is a 30% chance of a severe hail report. And all these probabilities I just mentioned are within a 25-mile point. So if you have, for example, a 2% risk for a tornado, that is a 2% risk of a tornado happening within a 25-mile point of your exact location. All right, I'm going to pop that off here. So we're live currently because we do have severe thunderstorm warnings in the state. Just one now, and it's probably for about all of 3 or 4 square miles of Indiana. And yes, our policy is to be live for any and all severe warnings. Sometimes we're probably going to miss a few warnings because Indiana's so busy. This might be a case where we may miss one a little bit later this morning, just because our focus is on the threat a little bit later on. We want to rest up and get ourselves prepared for that. As of right now, though, the only severe storm in the state is currently not in the state currently, but about to push into the state here down by Brandenburg, Kentucky. The only place I see here, New Boston, Evans Landing, Tobacco Landing, maybe Rehoboth, Buena Vista, Macedonia maybe. This cell is looking pretty weak in nature, actually. Looks like it's trying to weaken just a bit. It's kind of shrinking. So that's... the wind does not look impressive at all either. Let me flip back over here to the other radar here. I want to take a peek at this again. This radar on your screen currently is a little bit more advanced in the software, so we can do a little bit more in the way of tools with it. I'm going to go up in the atmosphere here and go up to about 20,000 feet and see what it looks like there. And the answer, if we continue to go up further, there's 25,000 feet. And let's go down one. Let's go down another one. Yeah, this storm does not look overly impressive at all. I'm not sure why it's warned, to be honest with you guys. There's no hail, there's no wind I'm seeing. This is just an ordinary thunderstorm that I'm seeing. Does the warning say anything confirmed of reports? It's a 60-mile-per-hour wind warning here. It's radar indicated, no confirmation on that. I'd expect them to actually drop this, or at very least trim this back significantly. I don't see the storm being severe at all. Now, back here down just south of Evansville, that is a different story. Flip the radar back. These cells down here, they mean a little bit more so in the way of business, more so for hail. Switching over here to velocity, maybe some heavier winds in there, but it just has the elevated hail look to it. If I turn on hail tracker, there it is. You see the brighter colors there, especially between Clay and Providence. This is Kentucky, by the way, not Indiana. But you see those brighter colors also over here to the west, in reddish, orange, and yellow colors over here. Those are your hail cores. The cell over here that's currently warned, very much going on with that, with the hail tracker there. Just a little blip of blue, indicating some pea-sized hail maybe at most. The highest concern definitely back here, south of the border, and it may stay south of the border. So once this warning drops off, I do plan to pop out of here, and I will leave you guys with the last little wording of we'll be live later today, starting with the first severe warning. But with these cells back here, again, I haven't slept. I've been streaming here likely at this point for 9-10 hours combined. Haven't slept, so I want to get some sleep here. I'll pass coverage off to Caleb. He'll be up in about an hour or two. We'll get you guys forecasted, updated, and all that jazz. But for right now, the hope is these stay south of the border. But if they do become severe, they'll be brief in nature and very, very limited to the very extreme southern part of the state here, close to the Ohio River. Anita says humid in Muncie. Yeah, it's humid across the entire state. We'll continue that trend today. But the good news is we're ushering in a little bit cooler air mass for the weekend. It should kick some of that instability out for a much more pleasant, a little bit cooler weekend in store for the state. Yeah, looking at this cell here, it's getting closer to the radar too. I just don't see a reason for this to be severe. Like we had like a pocket of perhaps some gustier winds there for a brief time, but this just doesn't look severe at all. So we'll see what they do with that warning. NWS knows what they're doing, so they see a reason to warn it. They're justified, at least at some point they are justified. But looking at the trends, it is on the downtrend, so I'd expect this warning to be canceled, if not trimmed back a lot. Timing for Vincent's Genie, the answer to that would be roughly probably closer to, we're going to say after 4. In fact, can I switch this? Okay, I can't. I'm going to do something here. I'm going to flip my other radar on the screen, and I'm going to bring up... Actually, we're going to do it this way. Let's do this reverse, make it a little bit easier on me. We're going to pop this into Weather Bell. Is that going to be good? There we go. This is your future forecast, actually. So here's the state of Indiana. This is at 5 p.m. today. We're going to back this on up to current what's happening now. We have those storms ongoing there across the south part of the state. The model here does suggest a couple of those may kind of sneak up into that southern tier counties. For the most part, the bulk of that stays to our south in Kentucky. Now, this is at 10 a.m. this morning. Go to 11, noon, 1 p.m. Eastern, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there you go, Genie, on the west part of the state there, right around 6, 7 o'clock. This is a nasty-looking line that develops here across the western part of Indiana. Let's go to 8 p.m., 9 p.m. That is a nasty-looking line. 10 p.m., and that's as far out as the model goes. So... looks like a little bit later on, dinner time frame or so, we'll start to ramp up our wording for western Indiana. Excuse me. But yeah, that is a nasty looking line though. We're going to have to forecast that a little bit better later today. There's your environment, a very potent environment there for severe weather across the state. This is overlapping storm fuel with our wind shear. Wind shear can organize storms as well as help them rotate, as well as produce damaging winds. So we get the overlap there. We get the brighter colors here. Very potent environment there. South of Indianapolis primarily for the most part. So I would suggest a lower risk north of Indy. There's not much going on up there on this model at least. But we'll get a better idea of that coming in the future here. Any storms up there on this part of the line will be on the weaker side, whereas the southern part has more fuel to work with. So we'll have a forecast out later this morning or early afternoon for you guys. So stay tuned to the pages for that. Severe warning continues here for southern Harrison County. Again, would expect them to trim this back at any point. See a new severe warning being issued here. They just replaced it actually with a statement. That means we are now in all clear mode here in the state of Indiana. Let me go ahead and take this off your screen. There we go. That yellow box has been replaced by a blue box, and that was expected with that cell being weak in nature. So with that said, no severe thunderstorm warnings are in the state anymore. So that's great news. So we're likely going to end the coverage there. And again, I'll reiterate one more time. These cells over here by Evansville, they're going to be continuing off into Kentucky. They should not become our concern at all. But down here in the Evansville, just south of Evansville, if I animate this, these may try to push up into the very far southern part of the state. Harrison County, perhaps Perry and Spencer County as well. Very, very extreme southern parts of these counties may get grazed by this particular cell. So if these do become severe, the main risk is going to be damaging winds as well as large hail, but overall not a very high concern for severe this morning. The highest concern definitely centered later today around that dinner time frame, late afternoon, early evening, as a moderate risk is in place for later today. Again, the moderate risk currently is not in place for what's happening now. It's for what's happening later today. The entire state later does have a risk for severe weather. It is highest south of Indianapolis. It is lowest north of Indianapolis, but regardless, there is a risk across the entire state today. So I'll draw the line here, basically cut the state in half. North of Indianapolis, you have a risk, yes, but it's on the lower side of things. South, you have the highest risk tonight. It's hard when you've been up for 36 hours straight here, actually, and you're getting your days mixed up at this point. So highest risk down here, lowest risk up there, but still a risk nonetheless. All right, with that said, keep an eye if you do happen to live, if you're tuning in down here to the Ohio River area on the Kentucky border. I would definitely keep an eye on the radar and future alerts. We'll be live later today to cover any and all severe storms. But for right now, we're going to sign off here. No severe in the state currently. If a future severe does happen this morning, it'll be with this cluster, and it'll be very limited in nature to the very far southern part of the state. So you guys enjoy. We'll be live later today for more coverage. You guys stay tuned to the forecast. We got you covered. I'll see you guys later.